Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for the June 2021 Stamps and Dies release video hop with Altenew. I am going to show you the card that we're going to make today. I've already made one of them. I used a bunch of products from the new release, and we're going to go over what those are. I used some embossing paste, which is older, some translucent pearl embossing powder, Wanderlust stamp set, Dreamy Sunset paper pack, which is new. And I'm showing you the colors that I used here in Summer Scraps because I love this paper and don't waste a smidge. This is the Feathered Friends die set. I already went ahead and cut out our bird, the base out of vellum, and I trimmed the body out of gold foil. This is the Mountain Builder die set. And this is amazing. So I'm showing you we're going to be using those two bottom mountains on our project today. And these are how I store my dies. I'm just showing you that those are the dies. We're going to use a paper towel or a kitchen towel, a piece of scratch paper. We always need that. And I have two blending tools, one in pink, one in orange, because I forgot to show you Frosty Pink and Sunkissed, which we are going to use to make our background. And we're also going to use the Pure White spray from Altenew, the ink spray. We're not going to use it as an ink spray, we're going to use it as an ink splatter. So let's get down to it. We're going to start by ink blending on a slimline card base that is 3.5 by 8.5. That's generally what I make my slimline cards. I think it's a great base size, although I do switch it up once in a while. Depending on what I'm going to be putting onto my card. So first you saw me ink blending some of the gorgeous Sunkissed crisp dye ink on there. And it doesn't matter, I kind of wanted to go up about 3/4 with that ink because most of it's going to be hidden behind our gorgeous mountains, as you saw in the beginning. I just didn't want to get too much pink and then have to fight between the two to get a good base. So I figured 3/4 orange and a dab of pink. So I did my pink and it looked good. I was happy where it was. But then I thought, I want to have a couple little orange peaks poking through. And I also wanted to make sure that I had a nice, beautiful blend. And I'm just showing you to make sure you put your ink tools back where they're supposed to go in the right colors. Make sure to shake your ink spray too. Lots of reminders here in this video because I forget a lot. And of course, I opened it and I have it all over my hands. So I grabbed my kitchen towel. And it also protects the top of the sprayer from throwing big blobs onto my project. But then I wasn't getting big enough blobs. You never get the size blobs you want. So I just started throwing it on there, like literally hitting my hand down to try to get good blobs. And I got more ink on me. So I was finally happy with my splatter with my nozzle from my bottle. So I'm just showing you the beautiful, beautiful effect. And then we're going to set that aside to dry for the time being. Now we're bringing out our Mountain Builder die set. And we're going to go ahead and, since I've already made this card once, I have a good indication of what pieces go on what color. And Emery wanted to come say hello, so she came and said hello. Emery does what Emery wants to. Anyways, back to the card. Now, you'll see that I'm starting with the second piece first. There's a story here. So when I made the card the first time, I kept cutting pieces for my mountains, and I kept cutting them a little wonky. So my trick, which will save you guys some paper, and it's good because it's gorgeous paper. Dreamy is the perfect name. Dreamy Sunset. Dreamy. Oh, dreamy paper. It's terrific. Don't want to waste any of it. So the best way to do it that I have found is to cut your second piece, and I'll show you this in just a second. And I do go out of frame on one of them, so I apologize there. But so I've cut my pieces off camera, and I'm going to put those back onto the magnets because otherwise I have thrown dies away. So another reminder, I'll give you a finger pointing in a second to remind you of that. So here's what you do. So I put my little pink piece down there and I butt up the die against that pink piece, take out my pink piece, trim off the excess, and then I'll run that piece through my die cutting machine. And so you get to see that one. The other one, my pink piece goes off a smidge because I had my paper cutter up there on the desk, and it was kind of taking up some space there. So I went a little off frame, but you're seeing the same process, and you can kind of see I'm lining the top of that up. And it was really important when I made the error because I was using the plaid piece that was in the pack, and it was really noticeable because it was crooked, but I kept it when I made this the first time. I did keep my crooked mountain because I'll just tuck it behind another mountain. It's fine. It's still usable. So here we go, and I've got my pieces all cut. So the one on the light pink piece did not cut all the way to the side because I didn't trim it to exactly the size of the die. So you'll see it didn't cut all the way. And just take my scissors, quick trim, we're in business. And that mountain is actually going to sneak behind the other mountain, I believe. Yes. So that one's fine. It doesn't matter that that side is squared off. There we go. I couldn't think of the phrase. See, that's that beautiful plaid I used when I first made this card, and my plaid mountain was crooked. And I'm like, oh goodness, what did I do? So that's why I start with the second piece first. So it's always nice when I can pass on tips so you guys can save your paper. It's always good to learn from others' trials. You know, I don't like to say mistakes because it still works. It's fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play with the embossing paste and the embossing powder. So I found this quite by accident, actually. I take a kitchen towel, I get in there, and I get a good chunk of embossing paste on there, and then I just dab. Now, I've never done this before. As you can see, obviously, on my 2 cards, I'm doing it here. But I had never done it before. I had tried it on a mixed media project, and I didn't like the outcome of it. But when I saw these mountain dies, I'm like, wow, let me try it again and see if it works. And it worked perfect. I was so excited. So I've turned my heat gun on here, and now I'm just getting the translucent pearl, which is gorgeous. It has a little shimmer, and you know I love shimmer, to it, and I'm just putting it over my embossing powder. As you can see, it went all over my desk. My fan is on because it is over 100 degrees. So I always forget the fan issue. So I am taking just a cheap makeup brush that I got just randomly. I don't know. And I'm making sure that there's no like stray embossing powder at the bottom that you're going to see. Granted, it is the translucent pearl, so it's translucent, but I just don't want it there. So I just wanted to make sure, and I also swept it off my desk as much as I could. So I'm heating it from the front and the back, you will notice, because I figure when it's heating it on the top, it heats from the top down. When it heats from the back, it heats from the back up. So I figure if they meet in the middle, it's a good division of labor. So I picked up some tweezers, I believe, at this point because it was quite toasty on the fingers. And it's funny, you don't notice how hot a heat gun is until it's 100 degrees and you turn on a heat gun. Like, it's hot. So I am just really making sure, back front, making sure that that's nice and dry. Last time I did it, I thought it was dry, and it wasn't, and I stuck my hand in it. My hand was covered, and it smushed it down, and so, yes. I'm just cleaning some embossing paste up with a little, I have Dawn and some water. I keep in a spray bottle, and I got embossing paste on my beautiful Altenew mat, so we took care of that, so it's all good. Now I'm taking Obsidian ink, and I'm taking my Sentiment from the Wanderlust stamp set, which is a phenomenal set, especially to use with this release. And I'm going to stamp that on there in the upper corner. I just love this sentiment because I wander a lot. So, but you know, you find some of the best places when you wander, you know. And I like the other one that's in there, wander, not wonder. So wander, W-A-N-D-E-R, not wonder, W-O-N-D-E-R, which is a good sentence. And so now I'm just taking my heat gun again, and I'm just making sure that my obsidian ink is dry, that my pigment ink is nice and in there. I mean, my crisp dye ink is all dry, and that my ink spray is dry. So I was going to apply this down with my glue tape pen. As you can see, it's right there. I grabbed it. I was ready. And then I thought, ooh, last time I stuck my hand in the embossing paste, it wasn't dry. I didn't want to risk it. So I took out some liquid adhesive to put on the back. And then we'll just plop that down very carefully, making sure we don't touch where the embossing paste is, just in case. Because if I can stick my hand in it, I will. So I stuck my box of dies down on there because it's heavy, just to make sure it gets a good stick. And then now I am taking the Altenew foam tape and I am sticking that. I'm cutting off pieces and sticking it to the back of the piece that you see at the top that's pink and pink. It's in my hand, I'm doing that. And I showed you both sides of the Altenew foam tape. I keep both of those circles on either side of my foam tape so nothing gross gets on it. Because it is adhesive, so I don't want it to pick up cat fur or embossing powders or anything like that. So I'm pulling off my sticky backs, my gorgeous sticky backs. I mean, prettiest foam tape ever, right? And we're getting ready to get that adhered down. Again, making sure that we don't stick our fingers in the embossing paste on the off chance that it's still sticky. So I'm showing you here the beautiful dimension. And it's nice because having one flat and one popped up. So here are both of the cards. We're adhering our bird, which is the final piece. I was gonna, again, use the glue tape pen. Went with the liquid glue just to make sure it went under the body only because I didn't want it sticking outside the vellum. And here I turned the bird a little. And here are the two cards. So I hope you enjoy this hop and I hope you have a wonderful time. Pick up some great tips, pick up some great card ideas and inspiration. And as always, happy crafting.